They were in an absolute race to replace Splash Mountain, the most popular attraction in the world. Now they're in traction, trying to figure out how things went south so fast at the House of Mouse. Tiana's Cartoon Adventures over on Disney Plus, a 5-year project, has now come to a screeching halt. And just as badly as the attraction has been handled, perhaps it's even worse with the cartoon destined for the vault. Disney now scrapping all of their traditional animation headed for Disney Plus, and it's the fault of those behind Tiana. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is a joyous day here, coming to you from a studio in somewhere sunny USA, as we bring you the latest in what's going on across the spectrum of Disney. As we get ready to get started, folks, we ask that you click the like button. We certainly would like that very much, and we'll send this all across the fruited plains of YouTube. All right, let's get started. We'll show you what's going down with Tiana and why it's not just the theme park lovers who have a frown, but now even those at Disney Plus are thinking they must have made a horrible mistake. It says exclusive. Tiana series cancellation allegedly attempt to push out unfavorable Jennifer Lee hires from animation team, project deemed unreleasable despite years of production. All right, before we even get into this, Jonas, can you give us the backstory as to what this cartoon was and why it existed?
Okay, so not that long ago, I'm not going to be as sarcastic as I was on Morning Magic this morning. In 2020, they announced a Tiana series that was going to be animated and on Disney Plus. And nothing happened with it outside of the walls of Disney, or at least from the perspective of outside of the walls of Disney at this point. By the way, this is concept art that was done by a fan at this point. That person makes good concept art. This is a series that was meant to capitalize on the intended future success of Disney Plus. They were sure that they were going to be just as successful as Netflix, so they started dropping tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on projects to fill in Disney Plus while everyone shuffled in until they made this thing profitable. They assigned this series to a person who had basically no resume to speak of. And continuously, this thing goes back to the drawing board. We're hearing nothing about it. By the way, in 2020, they also announced the destruction of Splash Mountain and its replacement with Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That one took a very long time to get off the ground as well. Obviously, that destruction was not completed until fully completed at the second park until 2024, I want to say about November. So this is the thing where Jennifer Lee hires someone to run a series. And is it Sherry Joyce? Is that the name of the woman?
Yes.
And that woman is unqualified to do this. Disney does not have an animation department that is capable of doing 2D animation on the level that Disney is in the past. There's a lot of junk going on Disney Plus, and no matter how bad that junk is, apparently this is not good enough to meet that level. 3 or 4 times this thing goes back to the drawing board. They assign new directors. No word on the music and whether or not that was any good. Apparently 4 to 5 years is still not enough time to come up with good music for it. And finally, they announce yesterday that, you know what the problem is? The problem is the episodes are too long. Kids don't want to watch the long episodes. What they want to watch is like 8 minutes of something. So we're going to figure out
that's a convenient excuse.
Yeah.
That's really convenient.
Yeah.
So let's walk through this article. Now, we want to say that this was a scoop that I was attempting to get out on the Patreon yesterday, and the Hollywood Reporter beat me to it. So, well, darn them. But here's what we've got that's in addition to what the THR is reporting. It says the project's demise is part of a broader effort. Folks, this is part of rumor and speculation, though. We're going to have to put that out there officially. We can't prove this kind of stuff. You know, we don't have like a smoking gun email that says, this was all to get rid of Jennifer Lee. No, okay. So it says the project's demise is part of a broader effort to remove former Disney Animation Chief Creative Officer Jennifer Lee's hires from the studio following her demotion back in September. As always, this should be treated as rumor. The Tiana animated series, originally announced in 2020, has been in production for years, but was reportedly so unsalvageable that Disney ultimately ultimately scrapped it. Now, remember, it was supposed to come out with Tiana's Bayou Adventure as a cross promotion. How did this happen, though, folks? Well, if you've been on this channel for a very long time, you may have heard parts of this that we've been able to talk about. Now it's coming together. Allegedly, Joyce Sherry, or Cherie, the original director attached to the project, pitched a live-action Princess and the Frog film to Jennifer Lee during the so-called Summer of Love, pushing for a major theatrical release featuring Disney's first black princess. However, insiders claim that Lee and other executives instead chose the race-swapped Little Mermaid remake instead, believing it would generate more cultural and political momentum. And I would say it was seen as the more progressive choice than going with Tiana. They wanted to race-swap the Little Mermaid. That was the Jennifer Lee-ism. Now, what happened? Well, this Cherie lady who pitched the Princess and the Frog, her consolation prize was that she got to go do the Tiana and the Princess and the Frog Tiana cartoon on Disney Plus. But she was so incompetent that, as Jonah said, the stuff that goes out on Disney Plus, some of it's terrible. The viewership isn't there. Nothing except Bluey and Moana, the original movie, tracks on Nielsen. And yet this is so bad that after 5 years, they finally gave up. And the way that they're hiding it, the way that they're saying, this wasn't a failure of our decisions for wokeism. Oh, no. We're dropping all of our animation efforts on Disney Plus because kids don't like normal length cartoons anymore. That's over. We're going to TikTok this thing, baby. That's the new excuse. They want to claim that kids don't have attention spans anymore for a normal length cartoon. And after 5 years, like Bob Iger realizing that video games are popular, after 5 years, their research showed it was time to close the door and go to Schwartz instead. Panel, your thoughts on all of this and the fact that they're cleaning house at Vancouver, ending animation for normal cartoons on Disney Plus, and all of this is attached to the ride at Disney World that nobody wants.
It's sad because I don't know. This is a personal feeling, but I like the Princess and the Frog, the original animated cartoon. It was the last hand-drawn cartoon, and they've ruined it.
Hold on a second, Ron. Was it the last? Can we get a?
I think Winnie and the Pooh came out.
I think
out after that. But it's essentially the last Disney film. Winnie the Pooh was also like under an hour, so it's like pushing the limits of features.
You said Winnie and the Pooh.
What did I? Yeah,
that's a completely different movie.
Yeah, he left that in the woods.
By the way, Ron, I was going to prove not to rain on this poo parade. I was going to prove that that Tiana's Bayou Adventure is an unpopular ride and show the wait time, right?
Yeah.
Darn it, I can't. It's broken again.
What a surprise. What a surprise.
Yeah, back tomorrow.
No, the problem is the convoluted story and the way they did it. The only way that the ride could have been successful replacing Splash Mountain is if they would have done something with the story that makes any sense of why there's a mountain in the middle of the bayou in New Orleans. And the only way you could have done that was with the evil magic of Dr. Facilier, but they chose to leave him out. And even so, I think Tiana deserved her own. I mean, what they're doing with this. Look, I'll be honest with you. I feel like this is my personal feeling, but I feel like what they're doing with her as a character is racist. And it's because I love and respect her and Prince Naveen as characters in the movie and where they could have gone. And the fact I would love to see stories of what their life was like. How successful was the restaurant? What happened? I mean, there's stories to tell there, and it's gone nowhere because again, they keep putting people in charge who don't have a clue as to what they're doing, and then you get disasters like Splash Mountain and turning into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which really shouldn't have ever happened in the first place. She should have gotten her own brand new ride, but the whole thing is disastrous, and it's sad because it's even worse. What makes it worse is the Little Mermaid. Why would you take a character that exists and change that to something else, which is technically cultural appropriation? The whole thing is it makes my brain want to explode. I'm sorry.
They don't like the Princess and the Frog at Disney because she spends most of the movie as a frog. and they thought it probably better to, race swap another princess than to do, than to just run with the one that's actually, the first Black Disney princess. Now, I mean, if the amount of work and care that was put into this series is the same amount of work and care that's been put into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, well, it goes to show that the ride's falling apart. Like the Lewis animatronic has a slashed throat right now. It's not even been out for a year. I can only imagine what this would have been. This was a show that was made for 5-year-olds too. I mean, how bad does it have to be to not make it to production?
Erica, they, one of the things I wonder about is how bad does it have to be for them to, after 5 years, and you know that in 5 years, there's a lot of work behind the scenes. Like this thing, they may have it all the way done. I don't even know. But after 5 years, they're done. They're not going to put it out. So, Erica, here's my curiosity. Do you think, given that this was the entire way through a woke effort, a summer of love response, do you think that after 5 years, maybe this thing was worse than Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, and like maybe this was just completely off the rails and they said, we can't do this. This is already attached to the Splash Mountain redo, so it's already controversial. Like we can't go any farther into this.
I mean, that could be a possibility. It just seems like to me, they have just lost all sense of storytelling. They couldn't even get the story straight on the attraction. So I'm not surprised. Maybe they
Erica,
just couldn't get the story right in the animated series. If there were teams that were changing throughout, like directors and such, then that tells me the story just wasn't cohesive. And I mean, it's not cohesive on the attraction as it stands. So it's no surprise with modern day Disney and their lack of storytelling. That's what it goes back to.
Erica, the animatronic is not cohesive either. And by the way, Erica.
Yeah, and you guys predicted that.
Yeah, and TPM Vids just put out a video, and it's basically, I mean, they sprinkled in other attractions, but there's a long segment in this latest TPM Vids, and much love over there to TPM Vids. They've got it's a huge part of the video is everything wrong with Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And of course, they've got, images of the head falling off of this thing, basically, pulling a semi-Ursula. They've got images of Mama Odie stuck. But it's amazing to me, the attraction and the people who were selected because of wokeism, they couldn't build the attraction and they couldn't make a cartoon. It's a failure on both sides of it. It's incredible what happens when you don't care about meritocracy. And by the way, people of all backgrounds, ages, ethnicities, genders, etc., can be excellent. It's the hiring of people based on woke ideology that destroys stuff. And they destroyed both sides of this thing. Erica, your thoughts seeing that it seems the seam is falling apart on poor Louis?
I don't have a whole lot to say on that. It's just kind of funny looking at the tear.
Rename him Louis Brassi.
That's right.
Oh no!
Oh, Ken Reinhardt made the joke in the chat. I thought I was being great
he
minds
beat you
think
to
alike.
it. Beat you to it.
May your first child be a masculine child. There is a question that I have, of course, and we won't linger on this too long. Like, why not make the inside of the Lewis animatronic the same color as the outside of the Lewis animatronic?
Oh, logic. How dare you bring that up here?
Yeah.
Hey, Jonas, so you gave us the background on it. Tell us what this means in terms of how big of a deal this is, that this show was so bad that they basically said no more cartoons on Disney Plus.
Well, and then they're trying to say it's this thing that's the problem. But, Dream Productions from Pixar and Win or Lose from Pixar. Win or Lose, I don't know. Have they dropped the last episodes of that one at this point? Because it's supposed to be ongoing. They're basically saying these things that we have released here that we've talked about on earnings calls and presentations, they're worthless. They might as well take a tax write-off on them. It's that Pixar thing. Right. So much trouble over there. As if Pixar didn't need another black mark here. And the other aspect of this is that they're trying to blame Bob Chapek in the Hollywood Reporter article, which I'm very quick to point out that according to sources at Disney, according to a spokesperson from Disney, so that is essentially a puff piece right there from from a Hollywood Reporter. They are 100% in lockstep with whatever it is Disney wants to put here. So they're saying, oh, it's that Bob Chapek guy. That's the problem. He was technically in charge, even though Bob Iger was still his boss at the time when they announced this Tiana series. Or they say, oh, well, all this content, this Dream Productions, that was a Bob Chapek thing. Oh, Win or Lose, well, that was a Bob Chapek thing. And Bob Chapek was only CEO for 11 months without Bob Iger there. And this would have been in production at that point. Bob Iger did not leave in 2020, if I'm mistaken. Here, somebody correct me. He didn't step down from the executive chairman role. Again, Bob Chapek's boss. Well, Bob Chapek is the CEO of the company until much after that. This is something to where Disney is trying to run for cover. They're laying off staff at the Vancouver studio. That same studio there also worked on Moana 2, which is a film that Disney claims is a success. It made over $1 billion in revenue at the box office. That's before we account for costs. So this is Disney making a bunch of moves, doing a bunch of quiet, this is this thing. If you're looking into it, it's Bob Chapek's fault. But this is Disney retreating from a streaming service that is already starved for content and saying, oh, we're not going to do that anymore. There is nothing on Disney Plus. There is nothing of value here that we see from the Disney company. If they're going to reform, they need to just do it. They need to admit that they made a mistake and make some changes. But instead they're like, oh no, she's just Jennifer Lee. She just wants to really focus on Frozen 3. Her heart's desire is to do a second sequel to Frozen right here. This is a lost company at this point. They need to make big changes, and they're going to make little changes that they're labeling as big changes. I'm just tired of it at this point. They're lost.
You know, if you ever want to get a deep dive on just how terrible Jennifer Lee is, go check out the D Files over on Film Threat, because Alan and Chris do a really amazing deep dive into just how terrible her reign was. You know, you look from everything she changed with Raya and the Last Dragon to make that into a woke masterpiece, and then just taking the Disney 100 years animated feature Wish and turning it into something absolutely terrible. You know, that made absolutely no money. I was in Epcot during a really busy day, and the one thing in the entire park that did not have a long wait was the line to meet Asha from Wish, and that's because of Jennifer Lee. So, you know, she stacked the animation department with all of these DEI hires that were not as qualified as the people she wanted to push out, and you know, under her creative direction, the Disney animation nearly collapsed. And then all of a sudden, Moana came out with no agenda behind it. Same with Inside Out. And they made $1 billion. So, you know, it's no wonder that they're like, oh, wait a minute, I get it now. And hopefully they do.
Well, just imagine that you had 5 years and probably hundreds of millions of dollars to make a kid's cartoon, a little princess cartoon for 5-year-olds. And in 5 years, it was so bad that instead of releasing any of it, it sunk the entire Disney animation effort for streaming forever. Jeez Louise, what a legacy. That's a legacy, baby.
Yeah, and again, I want to reemphasize the things that they have said yes to on Disney Plus are boring, and if they're not awful, they're offensive. So
that's right.
And for those of you who aren't aware, this is I'm just pointing this out for free. The Wild Robot and Despicable Me 2 are currently beating Moana, and obviously Despicable Me right behind her there. So Disney needs to do something quickly here, because just showing up to the box office with something unoffensive is currently outperforming them on streaming.
Often as we get ready to wrap these up, folks, you'll hear us say, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun. And the reason we do it is because we appreciate you. It's true, we do. And we want you to have a good time. Thank you for giving us the great time of spending time with you. Folks, on the way out the door, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below, because you matter. Your thoughts matter. Who cares what the legacy corporate deadbeat media tells you? You really are important. And we're a testament to that. We wouldn't be here without folks just like you. And since we've said it, we'll say it once more. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, And as always, keep having fun.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun. Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.